Good morning again, everybody. Okay. And welcome once again to Connecticut's first parent camp. We're very excited that you're here with us on a bit of an adventure. And I'm Judy Carson from the State Department of Education, and it's really my pleasure to see so many people here. This is an experiment that we're all joining hands and doing together. We have educators, we have family members, we have community members, we have state agency staff, we have foundation staff, and a range of others. So this is a historic gathering of lots of different voices to talk about family engagement. So that's what we're going to be doing for the next 2 hours. What I'm going to do is briefly give you some highlights of what Parent Camp is and what to expect. And we're going to have a chance to hear from some experts. This is a new idea for Connecticut, but it's been done other places, and we'll hear more about that. And then I want to let you know just a little bit about the research that supports the work we're doing here today. This is very much part of where the field of family engagement is moving right now. And I'll also encourage you, as you're a participant during our day, to think about, is this something I could do in my community? Is this something I could do in my school? And we'll be glad to keep the conversation going and see if we can spur more parent camps going on in Connecticut. So a couple of ideas around that brought Parent Camp into being is this idea of an unconference. So you see this logo on everything, and at the top it says unconference. What does that mean? Well, we've all been to a traditional conference or a training, and that is usually a person standing in the front of the room, pretty similar to what I'm doing right now, right? Doing all the talking, the audience is listening somewhat passively, maybe multitasking, and this method is commonly called sit and get. Have you ever heard this? You do your seat time and then you go on about your day. Well, we're flipping that. This is totally different. The idea is we're all in this together. We're here for the students and the families we all serve. And we have different roles, but that's our common bond. And what we want to do today is we will have discussion leaders. We will have people who spark conversation. There's a lot of expertise in this room, and that's part of why we're asking you to put up your pink cards. We want to collect our wisdom and share it. And the people who do that are sitting at the table. They're not standing in the front of the room. They're at the table with you, and this is leveling the playing field. We all, in Parent Camp, everybody's experience counts. So it's a little different model, and what our goal is today is to share our knowledge and to build relationships. How to have a good day at Parent Camp. First of all, direct your own learning. You can get out of this day what you need. And people who do Parent Camp are fond of using this idea, the law of 2 feet. And what does that mean? It means you can stand up and move. So if you find yourself sitting at a table and the discussion isn't really quite what you need, but you think there's another table across the room that's really compelling for you, feel free to move. Nobody will take offense. And also, usually we tell you to put your device away. Feel free to take your device out. If you want to tweet and talk about Jeremy, raise your hand, please. So Jeremy Bond is my colleague from CERC, and he is our in-house social media guru. And actually, he'll be talking in round 1 at a table about using social media. But if you feel so moved to jump onto Twitter and it's not something you've done yet, see Jeremy, and he'll get you started. And by the way, using these hashtags, Parent Camp, that's a national hashtag. There are people all around the country that know this is happening in Connecticut today, and they're going to be following us. And then this other hashtag we're trying to brand, we're trying to launch, CTFamEngage. We're trying to use this at all our events and to share all the wisdom we have in Connecticut and to start building bridges between people doing this work. There's quite a few people in this room that I met on social media, on Twitter, long before I met them in person. So feel free, as you're inclined, to get into the conversation. It can be Twitter, it can be Facebook, it can be Instagram. Whatever you're doing is the right place to be. And then also keep the conversation going. You have in your packet some little sticky notes. You have 6 little stickers that have your name and your town, and they have a room for a few lines of notes. So what this is, we've offered a way for you to connect with other people. You can share your stickers so they know who you are, and then you also have, and thank you, Betsy, you also have an empty form that has room for stickers. You can collect stickers. Someone said kind of like when you go to the dentist office. So you can have and so if you see someone you meet and you want to be sure to follow up with them, jot a few notes, collect their contact information, and keep the conversation going. And more than anything today, the idea is to have fun. Like I said earlier, it's all about you. The topics are what you need to know and what you need to share. That's why we're here. The other piece I wanted to talk about is this idea of core beliefs for school-family partnerships. That's also on the Parent Camp logo everywhere. What are those core beliefs? Well, they come from this book, Beyond the Bake Sale. And many of you who have been working with us for a little while are familiar with this book and familiar with the authors, Ann Henderson and Karen Mapp. They're some leaders in the field. And they have established 4 core beliefs. These are even beyond beliefs. These are research-based ideas that serve to be the foundation for the most productive family engagement programs. Everybody wants to know what works, right? If you organize your efforts with these 4 core beliefs at the foundation, you will end up doing what works. And so they are all parents have dreams for their children and want the best for them. We make that assumption here immediately, the minute you walk in the door. All parents have the capacity to support their children's learning. Just like we believe all children can learn, we believe all parents have the capacity to support their children's learning. It may look different for different people. That's okay. That's the name of the game. There is no one size fits all. But this is an important assumption we bring. Families and school staff should be equal partners. Equal doesn't mean same. We have different roles, we have different responsibilities, but as we're doing in Parent Camp today, we sit at the table together. And the responsibility for building partnerships between school and home rests primarily with school staff, especially school leaders. Schools are the institutions that have the resources. Schools are organized. Families are not institutions. Families are informal, and they come from many different places, but schools have the lights on, they have a building, they have a way to start the ball rolling. But once the ball starts rolling, we share the direction it goes. And so you who are here as school and district leaders, you are really valuable to this because you in many ways and many times in our schools, you create the success by creating the conditions that will help us do this work the best we can. I want to say a few words about Friday Cafe. You're seeing this Friday Cafe logo on many different things, and some people may be here for the first time and not familiar with what Friday Cafe is. So a Friday Cafe is a networking group that a few of us got together and we were talking, we're saying, you know what, people who do this work of family engagement, whether they're in schools or districts or states or communities, we don't really have a way to connect. And oftentimes we feel pretty isolated in doing this work. So the idea was, what if we got together once in a while? What if we got together every month and talked about something important? Come together early in the morning, have some coffee, talk, get to know each other. Do you think anyone would be interested in doing that? Well, it turns out over the course of last year and this year, we've run a total of 15 Friday Cafe morning networking sessions, and we will, after today, we will have filled over 1,000 seats. Those are big numbers for Connecticut. Yeah. So those of you who are new to our network, you're in now. You're on the mailing list. You never get off. Now, we have cards out in the front that share the dates for Friday Cafe in the coming year. We'll let you know we meet in interesting venues like this beautiful place. Last month we were at the Beardsley Zoo. We've been at Mark Twain House. And it's all about family engagement, and anybody who has a role, no matter what it is, you're part of our network. And our goals with Family Cafe are to expand our thinking. We need to share what we know as a community. We also need to be informed by the research. We also want to build connections. We believe that we're more powerful together, and we believe that the expertise to solve our issues in family engagement rests in the room. And then also to develop an identity for this work. Very often people who do this work are a bit marginalized. Sometimes people are on soft money, or sometimes people wear a million hats, and this is just one more piece of what they do. We believe that family engagement is the part of the core mission for educating our students. So that's Friday Cafe. I also want to let you know just a little bit to help you see where this work is in the field of family engagement, and that it rests on some very solid ground. This is the dual capacity building framework. I won't spend a lot of time on it, but the U.S. Department of Education went through all of the research, Dr. Karen Mapp, and came out with a framework to organize family engagement. We haven't had this before. And there are copies on the back table if you want to know more and dig into it. But basically what this is doing is it's starting with the understanding that for a long time we've told people in schools and family members, go out and partner. Just build partnerships. We've written it in laws, we've written it in grants, and you know what? We never gave people the tools they needed to do it. So over 40 years we've been saying partnerships are great, let's do it. But we know that school staff, teachers, we don't get a lot of training in pre-service. And the training in service is kind of drive-by. I know as parents we don't get a lot of training in how to partner with schools. So we've had this assumption, but we never supported people to do the work. And so this is capacity building, and dual is a really important point, because to the extent we can do this work together, educators and families and community members together, we're going to come out with better outcomes. And so what the dual capacity framework says is we need opportunities to do this work in a relational way, to get to know each other, in a collaborative way. We're rolling up our sleeves and we're solving a problem together, and in an interactive way, so that we get outside of our assumptions, outside of our roles, and we really get to know each other and get to know the circumstances that are surrounding the child that we all care about. So that's your, I'm obligated to, I'm from the state, I'm obligated to do a little bit of research every time I speak. So that's it. That's your family engagement dual capacity framework. And just so you take this back with you, to what extent when you're doing in trainings and programs, can you build in these ideas of making it relational, collaborative, and interactive? And that will serve you well. So who's here today? Who is here that works in a capacity in a school or district? Any school or district staff? Fabulous, welcome. From the registration, it looked like we had about 45% of our group today is from schools and districts. Who's here as a parent or community member? Yay, thank you. So we have about 35% of our group today is families and community members. And who here is other? Well, I'm an other. So that's State Department of Education, that's higher ed, that's yay. We need the others. Sometimes that's some of the glue, and sometimes that's some of the funding that makes things happen. So we were really pleased when we sent this out. And I want to say a special thank you to all the people who helped us recruit, who said, yeah, let me see if I can bring people with me. So we really appreciate that. So as I said, Parent Camp is new to us in Connecticut, but not new elsewhere. There's also a model called EdCamp that's done primarily with educators, and we've had the good fortune to have a consultant, to have a friend work with us on this and help us through organizing this. Dr. Eric Bernstein, who has lots of experience with running this model, and he assured us it's going to work, it's going to be great. So I just want Eric to say a few words about our adventure for today. Oh, I think they want you to stand here.
You want me to stand? Okay.
I think there's a minute, yeah, for the microphone.
All right. So Judy did a really great job giving you the details of everything that I was supposed to tell you about. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great day. But really, I will just give you a couple of key points. So by 3 words of background, I was a middle school math and social studies teacher in Manchester. I was a principal and assistant principal in middle and high school levels, and now I'm on the faculty at UConn in Ed Leadership. And I'm also a parent, so I won't be staying today to participate in the parent camp for the duration because I'm going to do Superman change in the car into jeans and some kind of shirt, I don't know what yet, that I'm going to go be in the Civil War encampment at my son's elementary school. So, so that's of course, as we know here, the priority. So that takes precedent. Let me say this: there are 2 underlying traits of a successful parent camp or ed camp. One is a sense of organized chaos, right? This is that unconference model. So the idea that it's not going to be everybody's quiet listening to one person talk, and there's going to be noise, there's going to be movement, there's going to be chairs moving around, you're going to be bumping into each other because the tables are close, and there's going to be too many seats open at one table and not enough chairs at another table, and someone's going to have to move a chair from one table to another table and move and this and that. That's organized chaos. That's a really important part of the ed camp and parent camp models. Secondly, you want an example of what they would call radical openness, right? This is an opportunity for you to say anything, to talk about any topic, to ask or bring up or raise any issue. And so those 2 things are going to be the underpinnings of a successful event today, and I think that those are important things to remember. What I will say is that this is not the typical environment for a parent camp or an ed camp. And so a lot of people will say, well, you know, that's kind of a handicap, right? We're going to be behind the 8 ball because we don't have the kind of environment. What is really interesting about this space, normally an ed camp would happen where there are different rooms like a conference, and you would go off to different rooms and have conversations in different rooms. Time would end, and then you'd come back and you'd go to the next room for your next session. In this particular space, what is really symbolic of the round tables is that there will be facilitators at your tables, but at a parent camp or at an ed camp, there's not a leader of the discussion. There's not a person who drives that conversation. And there's not a head of these tables. These are round tables. So everybody in that conversation, everybody's voice matters. It's really important. And sessions in ed camps and in parent camps, they depend on all of you and all of your participation. So what does participation look like in this kind of a model? Well, there are a lot of different ways. A lot of times, again, in a conference model, participation is one way, me telling you what I know, because I'm the expert, and then you may be asking a question or 2 if I stop talking, right? That is not the way that participation looks at an ed camp or a parent camp or an unconference. Okay? Participation could be asking a question or posing a question. It could be sharing an idea. It could be telling a story or giving an opinion or raising a doubt. All of those are the kinds of participation. You do not need to go to a table knowing the answer. You can go to a table with the question. And that can start the conversation just as importantly as the person who brings the idea to the table and talks about what they know. So those are all ways to participate, and it's going to be really important to the success of this event for all of you to participate and engage. I want to talk also about what Judy elevated to the status of law, the law of 2 feet, which I would call a rule, but the rule of 2 feet is really important. There are going to be topics on that board. Everybody turn around for a second and look at all the things on that board. You're going to get 2 sessions. All those things are going to be divided up into 2 sessions. You're not going to be able to do everything that you want to do. There's going to be topics up there that you're really excited about, and they're going to be at the same time. So start at one table, get up and move to another awesome topic at another table when you've gotten a little bit of a taste of that table. When the topic isn't exactly what you thought it was going to be, move to your second choice. Move to your third choice. Move. Feel free to move. Don't be offended if you brought a topic to a table and 2 or 3 people move. Don't look with the stank eye at the person who comes to your table from another table and interrupts your conversation. That's what an ed camp and a parent camp is about, okay? That is what this experience is. And I am really confident that this is going to be very successful. A lot of thought has been put into it. The last thing that I want to say before I walk out of here is that ed camp and parent camp, you hear a lot, you go to the grocery store, you see a lot about things that are supposedly organic, right? Really, parent camp and ed camps, they're supposed to be organic. So when you have an idea, put it up on that board. If you have a different idea that emerges, you're at a table and a conversation splits, have 2 different conversations. Split the table, okay? It's organic. It's what comes out of this time and this moment. And don't feel pressured to leave here ready to do the next thing, ready to go with your idea and run with it. A lot of times we tell people, like, you're going to leave here with the idea, the seed planted, and you're going to start up. That's not the goal here. The goal here is to network, to collaborate, to build your network. And so really the most important thing, and I'll bring it out again, is these stickers. You need to make sure that over the course of the time that you're here, that you write you share your name with other people, and that they share your name with you, with their name with you. You don't have to share your name with you, because you probably know it already. By the end of this, maybe you won't. Fill up your page with 6 other people's stickers. And then this summer, get in touch with those people. Don't get in touch to say, hey, remember that idea we had? Let's start it. But get in touch to say, hey, how's your summer going? Remember we met at ed camp, or parent camp rather, and let's talk some more. Let's continue our conversations. That's the goal. So I know that Betsy and Judy and their team have really prepared a great space, and that's what this is. Their work is done as soon as I walk off of this microphone, and your work starts. So I congratulate you all for being here. I'm sorry that I don't get to stay with you. I'm going to go lay on the grass in South Windsor at Pleasant Valley School. So thank you all very much, and have a great day.
It's been wonderful to have somebody with us who keeps assuring us this will work, it's okay, you can do this. And I want to bring up my friend, my partner, and believe me, we wouldn't be here today without the efforts of Betsy Laborious and her fabulous team. So Betsy, come on up.
Okay, thank you. So thanks, Judy. Organized chaos, that is what I love. So I'm thrilled, and if you know me, you know that's kind of part of the way that I operate day to day, organized chaos. But for a second, I really, I do want to recognize CREC staff, also CERC staff, for helping to organize. So you'll see Gerald, wave, Kim, wave, Tamika, and there are 2 people outside, and they spent a great deal of time in terms of not only getting food, but also organizing, and I so appreciate their help. So thank you guys, thank you very much. So, you know, today we talked about organized chaos, and I just want to say, you know, this whole idea, this is a simple, kind of a simple conversation about you know, topic of conversation, and we're asking you about, you know, what you hope to learn, or what you'd like to include, or the questions that you ask. But it really is deeply rooted in terms of how we connect with people. So my belief is that this is very hopeful. The day is hopeful. It's about future. It's about our children, right? It sparks creativity. So there's so much creativity in this room. And it's also about our collective wisdom. So we're very wise in this room. And so, you know, I just want to thank you all for being here, and we really want to tap into that during the course of the day. So we talk about this whole idea. This is, for us in Connecticut, this idea of parent camp and having both people who work with families and families together today is kind of a little bit of an experiment. But what is not an experiment is families and parents who are committed and involved and really make their voice known and then really act on that in a bigger way. So while Eric talked about it's okay to kind of spark this idea, there are two parents here who I'd like to introduce who in fact their interest was sparked, their creativity was unleashed, and they really did some good, not only for their children, but for other children in the schools that their children attended, but also for their community. So there are two parents, and the first parent is Freely Mendina. Did I say that correctly? I hope, yes. Who will be here to speak. And Freely was very instrumental in kind of helping to see, again, she's been involved in leadership opportunities in Hartford. I want to thank Joyce Bosco for connecting her to us, and she's going to speak a little bit about the power of her voice. And also Tammy Exum. And Tammy also is another parent who, again, and she'll talk about who she is and her story, but the power of what happens when your voice is recognized and heard and what can happen. So I'm very, very pleased today to welcome Freely and first, and then Tammy afterwards. So.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Freely. I'm coming from Family Life Education. I have two daughters. Today, I'm going to share a little bit about my experience. My English is not good, not too good, but I try English. The first time when I participated in the cafe training, I didn't have idea about the cafes, but that day I feel very motivated when different people talk about their experience, and when I listen about how to prepare the cafe, I like the idea, but I didn't know how I could prepare a cafe. Then the early child education taught me about statistics about the result of EDI. And now, somebody told me, now you and the other person with my help can organize the first cafe conversation. Then we have the results about the EDI. I think the EDI was the perfect topic for the first cafe, because that topic gave me the necessary motivation for to lead the cafe. With a lot of nerves like today, but I did. EDI have the perfect status for to help a lot of parents and their children. To know how to prepare our children before they start the school can help us to recognize what our children need for to be ready and what we can do for to help to them. Now, thanks to the cafe, Family Life, including me, have more parents motivated for to participate in different activities that can help to the best development of the children. We always have a meeting, and in May 15, we celebrate our first multicultural event where parents and children to have the opportunity for to show their culture. Now in June, we had our first fair like result of our cafe conversation about EDI. Personally, I feel very proud for to learn too much about how I can help my children and other family, and I would like to continue doing that. Thank you for this opportunity.
Good morning. I'm Tammy Exum, and I was asked to speak a bit about the value of a parent's voice. And I just want to tell you a little story and kind of keep it brief. But my oldest son, when he was preschool age, just before, as a matter of fact, he was just before 3 years old, and he was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. And at that time, which was about 2000, there weren't so many people and resources around that knew and talked about autism in the way that we know today. So my son went on to a preschool, and it was determined that he would be better served if he attended a different type of program, and it was recommended that he attend one of these schools that has an early learning center. That is a co-taught model where the students with special needs are paired and partnered with children who are typical peers. My son attended that school, and it was a wonderful experience for him. We were delighted with the progress that he made. We were very fortunate, we felt very fortunate to be a part of a school system that recognized the child's needs and really put the child first. So then he was offered the opportunity to stay at the school. And I thought, well, fabulous. But it was 10 minutes maybe outside of the district or outside of our neighborhood school district. We have another son. Well, this son was time for him to start kindergarten, and I thought, wonderful. Well, why don't we just have him go to the same school? It'll be fabulous, and they'll be together, and he can also benefit from the opportunities because all the schools are fabulous. However, we were told no. We were told that, you know what, he's not impacted in any way. He should be able to go to his neighborhood school. And we said, wait a second, this is kind of difficult to do. We have 2 children, same age as roughly, one in kindergarten, one in first grade, and each of them would be at a different school, but they both start at the same time. There's no before care program. They both end at the same time. Their activities are the same days of the week. That's really difficult for us to be torn between 2 schools. And so as I started thinking about this a little bit more, I started talking to parents, and I learned that other parents had even moved within the district to have their kids in the same school, and I thought, I don't really want to move. We've already gone through quite a bit. I'd like to address the district. So how should I go about doing this? I wrote a letter, and I was told, we understand your hardship. But you know what? At this time, we'd really prefer we'd like for you to understand that your child needs to stay. This is a part of our policy, and we don't support siblings in this particular way, though we really do appreciate your point of view. I said, okay. But I started talking to the other parents some more, and we thought, it would be nice if we had an opportunity to engage and to be together and talk about different resources and things so that we could advocate a little more effectively. And that was the start of our special education PTA in West Hartford. And SEPTA was a wonderful organization, so we thought, let's approach the administration and partner with them. Let's talk to them about what we think would be wonderful to do. They weren't that excited. The director of pupil services said, well, that's a nice idea, but I don't really think we need to do that. We have enough information that we can hand on to you, so I think it's okay. And then we thought, well, that's okay. We think we will go ahead and move forward with this. And we did. So as parents, that was one way that we were able to use our voices collectively. At that same time, we decided, let's move forward with this idea of the sibling piece. Let's see if we can impact change in this way. So after dealing with the administration and really continuing to hear no, we decided to approach the Board of Education. Now for me, I knew that I had to prepare my 3-minute speech and I needed to have it organized, but I have to tell you, it was a really intimidating experience. So I can still see myself in my little yellow sweater set, and I jumped up and I had my 3 minutes, and at that point I was a part of the leadership of SEPTA, and I spoke on behalf of my family and so many other families who were impacted the same way. And then other people spoke, and then we waited for a response. So when we were told that this would be addressed again, we attended the meeting, and I will never forget looking at the board member who was to my right, and he said, we allow the siblings of magnet school students, and we have magnet schools within West Hartford that people elect to go to, we allow those siblings to attend along with the magnet school sibling, and we provide transportation. Why wouldn't we do the same thing for our children with special needs and their siblings? It's a matter of equity. Can I tell you that for me was a moment of elation and empowerment? I felt wonderful about that experience. I felt that I had been heard. I really did feel that I had been heard. And I will tell you, but to wrap this up, because I could go on and on about this story, and I won't, but I want to tell you a couple of things. That little boy who was 3 years old and then 4 years old by the time he entered the preschool at the Early Learning Center, I look forward to picking him up tonight. He has finished his freshman year of college and he's in South Carolina. Shortly thereafter, after, and in addition, my boys were able to go to school together. They attended school every year for elementary school after that 1 year that we were separated as a family, because there is now a sibling policy in place with the West Hartford Public Schools for students in this particular situation. In addition, I was given a wonderful opportunity to help with parent leadership and advocacy. I coordinate a program called the Parent Leadership Training Institute program through the Connecticut Commission on Children. I was able to do that for 3 years in Windsor and now 5 years in West Hartford. And this cohort has now produced, it will be approximately 100 parent leaders using their voices to advocate and to move forward. In addition, after doing that with the PLTI program, I had been tapped for many years to do different leadership positions in my community, and I thought, it's never the right time. I'm too busy. I have so much going on. I have 3 boys now. Everything that everyone that we all say, we always have so many pieces to juggle. But I did decide to throw in my hat and to kind of put my money where my mouth was. So I am on the Board of Education currently in West Hartford Public Schools. And the relationship between SEPTO and the public schools is wonderful. The Director of Pupil Services is a partner of ours. When there are PPT meetings, he gives out pamphlets and information about SEPTO. He comes to speak to the group. It has become a true partnership. But finally, the thing that has really been a full circle moment for me, the Director of Pupil Services called me a couple of months ago, and he says, Tammy, I'm retiring. And I said, you are? And he says, I am. And he says, and I would be honored if you will speak at my retirement dinner, which is coming up at the end of the month, if that's not a full circle moment for me. So it's just a true journey in leadership and friendship and networking and opportunity and using a parent voice. And it's a voice that each of us has. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Tammy and Fraley. And so those might be 2 stickers that you want to share. You may want to know more about what's happening in Hartford and SEPTA and parent leadership. So already you've contributed a lot of resources to our morning. So let me tell you what we're going to do next. Today's agenda. We have 2 sessions of roundtables. I'm going to announce briefly what the topics are, and then you'll get up and move about the cabin and end up where you want to be. Then we'll take a break and we'll do a second round, and we'll put up a slide with the topics for the second round of the tables. It'll be bringing in what we have over there on that beautiful pink and green board. And then at the end, we're going to share out, we're going to have a few moments to share out your aha moments. And one thing we'd like you to do as you are going through your experience this morning, you have some cute little cards on your table. There's a green star, there's an orange flower, there's a pink bubble. When you have an aha moment, write it on that card, please, and we are going to collect those. What's an aha moment? It's a thought you never thought before. It may have been triggered by your neighbor, might have been triggered by a speaker, might have just been something that came to you. Please jot that down, and we're going to share those out quickly at the end. And then at the end, we're going to ask you to do a brief evaluation form. Like I said, it's our first time to do this. We want to know what worked for you, what didn't, so we can do things better next time. And when you turn in your evaluation form, you will be able to pick up a free book at the front desk. We have copies of that book I showed before, Beyond the Bake Sale. We also have copies of best practices. We have a book that's for parents about how to understand the new math. And so there's a selection. You can pick the book you want, and that's our thank you for filling out the evaluation form. So without further ado, here's our topics for this morning. We have table numbers that on every table. We have, and these all came, many of you when you registered with your registration form, you sent in topics, and so that helped us to do this as well. We have culturally responsive family engagement, table 1, promoting school readiness, table 2. Where is family engagement in your school improvement plan? How about that district improvement plan? Table 3. We have social media and technology at table 4. Financial literacy for parents and students is at table 5. Managing stress, I love this one. Relax, relate, and release. That's at table 6, okay? Let's all go there. Navigating special education, that's always an important topic, table 7. High school, how do we communicate with families in high school? That's at table 8. English language learners and their families, table 9. Helping families support learning at home, that's table 10. Tables 11 and 12 are open. Bring your own topic. If none of those suit you, feel free to move to table 11 and 12. Table 12 we've designated as an optional bilingual Spanish table. So my colleague Agnes Quinones is bilingual, and she will be at table 12 and can facilitate that conversation. So grab your coffee, get up and move to the table and start talking.
What's that?
Remember the bet?
How many? Well, what, you said,
75.
Bigger?
She only said,
so, what we have here is, so,
on Brenda, but I'm hoping she would print.
You can find information, like this phone sometimes so slow.
They are teaching with the Montessori theory. I have a lot of all of our teachers have one about Montessori.
His mother is not thrilled. His mother is thrilled that he's getting it from these people, and going to Chicago is less of a